Hello once again, fellow people. This is Hana, and today I want to try my hand at a little Katawa Shoujo. Yes, I'll admit right up front I saw Jesse Cox play this, but I'd also heard good things about the way it portrays its subject matter, and on a sensitive and philosophical and just a human level, I thought I wanted to give it a try, so let's go. Start. Light breeze causes the naked branches overhead to rattle like wooden wind chimes. Was a popular retreat for couples in the summer. The deciduous trees provide a beautiful green canopy far out of the sight of teachers and fellow students. Yes, in other words, this is where you want to go to get your makeout on or whatever. But now, in late winter, it feels like I'm standing under a pile of kindling. So, no smoking, kids. That, and you just might set yourself on fire. I breathe into my cupped hands and rub them together furiously to prevent them from numbing in this cold. Just how long am I expected to wait here? I'm sure the note said 4 p.m. Ah yes, the note slipped between my math book when I wasn't looking. As far as cliches go, I'm more of a letter in the locker, but at least this shows a bit of initiative. As I ponder the meaning of the note, the snowfall gradually thickens. Snowflakes falling silently to the white painted sky are the only sign of time passing in this stagnant world. Their slow descent upon the frozen forest makes it seem like time is slowed to a crawl. The rustling of dry snow underfoot startles me, interrupting the quiet mood. Someone is approaching from behind. Hi, Hisao, you came? A hesitating, barely audible question. However, I recognize the owner of that dainty voice instantly. I feel my heart skip a beat. It's a voice I've listened to 100 times, but never more as an eavesdropper to a conversation. I turn to face this voice, the voice of my dreams, and my heart begins to race. Aww. Iwanako? I got this note telling me to wait here. It was yours? Damn it, spent all afternoon trying to come up with a good line, but that was the result. Pathetic. Yes, I asked a friend to give you that note. I'm so glad you got it. A shy, joyous smile that makes me so tense I couldn't move a single muscle if I tried. My heart is pounding now, as if it was about to burst out of my chest and claim this girl for itself. So, here we are, out in the cold. Once again, the wind stirs up the branches. The cacophonous noise is music to my ears. Iwanako flinches ever so softly against the gust of wind. As it passes, she rights herself as supported by some new confidence. Her eyes lock with mine, and she lazily twirls her dark hair around her finger. All the while, the anxious beating of my heart grows ever louder. My throat is tight. I doubt I could force a word if I tried. You see, I wanted to know, oh boy, if you'd go out with me. I stand there motionless save for my pounding heart. I wanted to say something in reply, but my vocal cords feel like they've been stretched beyond the breaking point. Hisao? I reach up to massage my throat, but it only sends spikes of blinding pain along my arms. Hisao? My whole body freezes, save for my eyes, which shoot open in terror. Hisao! Yeah, okay. The beating in my chest suddenly stops, and I go weak at the knees. The world around me, the canopy of bare branches, the dull winter sky, Iwanako running towards me, all these fade to black. The last things I remember before slipping away are the sounds of Iwanako screaming for help and the incessant clatter of the branches above. Very depressing. Of course, I think this is supposed to meant to be kind of depressing, but at the same time uplifting, so... For a fan visual novel, this is quite impressive. Ugh. Hate hospitals. I mean, they're good for what they do, but... Yeah. I had to take my mom to one here a little while back. It was nothing serious, it turns out. Still, ugh. And time crawls at the petty pace to the last syllable of recorded time. Oh, enough Shakespeare. It's been 4 months since my heart attack. The whole time I can probably count the times I've left this hospital room unsupervised on one hand. 4 months is a long time when you're left alone with your thoughts, so I've had time to come to terms with my situation. Yes, okay, I'm paraphrasing here and there, but, you know, you get the gist. Arrhythmia. Strange word, a foreign alien one that you don't want to be in the same room with. A rare condition, it causes the heart to act erratically and occasionally beat way too fast. It can be fatal. Apparently, I've had it a long time. They say it's a miracle I was able to go on so long without anything happening. Is that really a miracle? Guess it's supposed to make me feel better, more appreciative of life. It didn't do anything to cheer me up. My parents, I think, were hit harder by the news than I was. They practically had 2 hemorrhages apiece. I'd already had a full day by then to digest everything. To them, it was all fresh. They were even willing to sell their house to pay for a cure. Of course, there isn't one. Because of the late discovery of this condition, I've had to stay at the hospital to recoup from the treatments. When I was first admitted, it felt as I was missed. For a week, my room in the ward was full of flowers, balloons, and cards. But the visitors soon dwindled, and all the get-well gifts began trickling down to nothing shortly thereafter. I realized the only reason I'd gotten so many cards and flowers because they were sending me their sympathy had been turned into a class project. Jeez, that's depressing if you have to have them to class project. Yikes. Maybe some people were generally concerned, but I doubt it. Even in the beginning, I barely had visitors. By the end of the first month, only my parents came by on a regular basis. Iwanako was the last to stop visiting. After 6 weeks, I never saw her again. We never had much to talk about when she visited anyway. We didn't touch on the subject between us on that snowy day ever again. The hospital is not a place I'd like to live in. The doctors and nurses feel so impersonal and faceless. I guess it's because they're in a hurry and have a million other patients waiting for them, but it still makes me uncomfortable. After the first month or so, the head cardiologist, every time I'd see him, I'd ask for a rough estimate when I'd be able to leave. He never answered anything straightforward, but told me to wait and see if the treatment and surgeries worked. So I idly observed the scar that the surgeries had left on my chest slowly change in appearance over time, thinking of it as some kind of omen. I still ask the head cardiologist about leaving, but my expectations are low enough that I'm not disappointed anymore when I don't get a reply. The way he shuffles around the answer shows me there is some hope. At some point I stopped watching TV. Don't know why, just did. Maybe it was the wrong kind of escapism for my situation. Started reading instead. There was a small library in the hospital, and although it was more like a storeroom for books, I began reading my way through it one small stack at a time. After consuming them, I would go back for more. Found that I liked reading, and that I became a bit addicted. Started feeling naked without a book in my hands. But I loved the stories. That's what my life was like. The days became increasingly harder to distinguish from one another, differing only by the book I was reading and the weather outside. Felt like time blurred with some gooey mass I was trapped inside instead of moving within. A week would go by without me really noticing. Sometimes I'd pause in realization that I didn't even know what day of the week it was. But other times, all the things that surrounded me would painfully crash into my consciousness through the barrier of nonchalance that I had set up for myself. The pages of my book would start to feel sharp and burning hot, and then the heaviness of my chest would become so hard to bear that I had to put the book aside just to lay down for a while, look at the ceiling as if I was going to cry. That only happened rarely, and I couldn't even cry. Today the doctor comes in and gives me a smile. He seems excited, but not very. It's like he's trying to make an effort to be happy. My parents are here. A few days since I'd seen them. Both of them are all dressed up. Is this supposed to be some sort of special occasion? It's not a party. There is a ritual the head cardiologist has. He takes his time sorting his papers and then setting them aside as if to make a point of the pointlessness he had just done. He casually sits on the edge of the bed. He looks me in the eyes for a moment. Hello, Hisao. How are you today? I didn't answer him, but I smiled a little back at him. I believe you can go home. Your heart is stronger now, and with some precautions you should be fine. We have all your medications sorted out. I'll give your father the prescription. The doctor hands a sheet of paper to my dad, whose expression turns wooden as he reads it quickly. So many. I take it from his hand and look myself, feeling numb. How am I supposed to react to this? The absurdly long list of medications staring back at me from the paper seems insurmountable. They blend together in a sea of letters. This is insane. Side effects, adverse effects. Oh Lord, I just totally brain farted. Contradictions and dosages that are listed line after line with cold precision. I try to read them, but it's futile. I can't understand any of it. Attempting it only makes me feel sicker. All this, every day for the rest of my life? I'm afraid that's the best we can do at this point. However, new medications are being developed, so I wouldn't be surprised to see the list fade over the years. Years? What kind of confidence booster is that? I'd have felt better if he hadn't said anything at all. Also, I've spoken with your parents. I believe it's best that you don't return to your old school. What? Please calm down, Hisao. Listen to what the doctor has to say. Calm down? The way he tells it, the way he says it tells me he knows full well that I wouldn't like it. Am I gonna be homeschooled? Whatever my concern shows, it's ignored. We all understand that your education is paramount. However, I don't think that it's wise for you to be without supervision. At least not until your medication is suitable. So I've spoken with your parents about a transfer. There's a school called Yamaku Academy that specializes in dealing with disabled students. Disabled? What? Am I... It has a 24-hour nursing staff and only a few minutes from being a highly regarded general hospital. The majority of students live on campus. Think of it as a boarding school of sorts. It's designed to give the students a degree of independence while keeping help nearby. Independence? It's a school for disabled kids. Don't try to disguise that fact. Okay, being a little dickish, but okay. If it was really that free, there wouldn't be a 24-hour nursing staff, and you wouldn't have a hospital nearby being your selling point. Of course, that's only if you want to go, but your mother and I really aren't able to homeschool you. We went out there and had a look a couple weeks back. I think you'll like it. Looks like I really don't have a choice. Compared to other heart problems, people with your condition usually tend to live long lives. You'll need a job one day, and this is a good opportunity to continue your education. This is an opportunity. Don't call it an opportunity. Don't call it a opportunity. Well, you should be excited at the chance to go back to school. I remember you wanted to return to school while it's not the same one, special school, that's an insult. That's what I wanted to say. It's a step down. Jeez, dude, okay, more dickery. It's not what you think. All of the students there are pretty active in their own sort of way. Oh, I think I went into the doctor voice. Oops. It's geared towards students that can get around and learn, but just need a bit of help in one way or another. Your father's right, and many of the graduates of the school have gone on to do amazing things. A person doesn't have to be held back by their disability. One of my colleagues in another hospital is a graduate. I don't care. A person doesn't have to be held back by their disability. That's what a disability is. Okay, dude. That's wrong. I mean, I have diagnosed disabilities, but I'm actually finally getting out there. So, anyway, continuing on. I really hate that something so important was decided for me, but what can I do about it? A normal life is out of the question now. It's funny, I'd always thought my life was actually kind of boring, but now I miss it. I want to protest. I want to blame this lack of reaction on shock or fatigue. I could easily yell out something now, how I can go back to school anyway, but no. I don't say anything. The fact is, I know it's futile. I look around the room feeling very tired of this. The hospital, doctors, my condition, everything. I don't see anything that would make me feel any different. There isn't really a choice, I know this, but the thought of going to a disabled school, what are those even like? As much as I try to put a positive spin on it, it's very difficult. But let me try. A clean slate isn't a bad thing. That is all I can think of to get me through this. At least I still have something. Even if it's a special school, it's something. A fresh start. My life isn't over. It would be a mistake just to resign myself to that. At the very least, I'll try and see what my new life will look like. And Act 1, Life Expectancy. Oh, it's cute. The gate looked far too pompous for what it was. In fact, gates in general seem to do that, but this one especially so. Red bricks, black wrought iron, and gray plaster assembled into a hole that didn't feel welcoming at all. Yeah, because gates usually mean keep out unless you belong here. I wondered if it looked like what a gate for a school should look like, but couldn't really decide. Probably not. Of course, I didn't want to get stuck on thinking about the gate for far too long, so I entered what at a brisk pace that felt surprisingly good. Moving forward feels good. So I walked toward the main building of Yamaku Academy at this brisk pace. I'm alone. My parents are taking my stuff to the dorms, and there's supposed to be someone waiting for me. The grounds are lush, filled with green. It doesn't feel like the kind of grounds a school would have, more like a park, with a clean walkway going past trees and the smell of fresh-cut grass, and all other park-like things. The word clean and hygienic pop into my mind. It makes me shudder. I shake them off. Stay open-minded now. It's your new life. You have to take it as it comes. That's what I tell myself. A few big buildings loom past the leafy canopies, too big and too many for just a school. Everything seems off. It's different than I thought. It's different from what I thought I knew about schools. It's an uncanny valley. Even though I told myself this was my new school, in the back of my head it doesn't feel like one. I'm wondering if this feeling is real or caused by my expectations of a school for the disabled. Speaking of that, I don't see anyone here. Kinda eerie. Makes me wish I had someone here that I can anchor myself to something tangible instead of having this feeling that I stepped into another dimension. The trees hum with the wind, and the green hues flashing all around me catch my attention. Makes me think about hospitals again, how they say that the operating rooms are painted green because green is a calming color. So why am I feeling so anxious despite all this greenery? Only after I stand in front of the haughty main building, I surprise myself by realizing why the gate bothered me. It was the last chance I had to turn back, even if I had no life to return to. But still, after entering, there's no way I could go back anymore. Feeling nervous and with this realization set in my head, I opened the front door. A tall man with bad posture notices me as I enter. We're the only people in the lobby, so it's only logical. You must be Nikai. So you are. Excellent. I'm your homeroom and science teacher. The name is Muto. Welcome. We exchange a handshake that is neither firm nor sloppy, and he looks at his watch. The head nurse asks you for a brief check-in visit, but there's no time for that now. Oh, should I go later? Yes, afternoon is probably fine. We should get going and introduce you to the rest of the class. They're waiting already. Waiting for me? I don't like being the center of attention, but I guess it's inevitable in this situation. However, not knowing what is waiting for me makes me really nervous. Thinking of this, I almost miss what the teacher is saying. Do you want to introduce yourself to the class? Why? Why, do I have to? Of course not, that's why I asked. Right, let's go then. My heart is pounding in my chest, and it keeps me thinking about my condition as I follow the teacher up the stairs. The third floor down the third floor corridor is marked with the classroom for class 3-3. Dude, you're on 333. You're halfway to pure evil, man. Muto opens the door and enters. You might want to enter the door after he opens it. Good morning, everyone. Sorry I'm late again. I hesitate for a split second, freezing on the spot. Get a grip. This is a big step. I know that. But there isn't any point to worrying so much about it. At least not this soon. I followed the teacher into the classroom and look around, partially so I don't have to meet the curious gaze of my new classmates. It's pretty spacious. The ceiling is unusually high and there's lots of space left over around and in between the desks. An entire wall taken up by blackboards of the high old-fashioned windows only make it seem larger. The The students' desks are just standard wooden desks with a shelf underneath for books and wooden chairs and metal frames. Simple and efficient. I stop walking in front of the classroom and face the other students. They all look normal, like students in any other school. But then, why would they be here? They're probably like me and have something wrong with them. It's just not immediately obvious. Then I notice that one of the girls seems to be missing the thumb on her right hand. It's a little jarring. Despite the natural tendency to listen when someone's talking about you, I tune out the teacher's speech halfway through, while he introduces me to the class. I notice a flash of dark hair and someone looking at me. A girl with really long, straight hair and that is pretty eye-catching. As she sees me looking back at her, she covers her face with her hands as if it will make her invisible. If you'll excuse me a moment.